My name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek TV at Spiel 2014. I'm sitting down with Enoch and Daniel Friholix. How are you guys?
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so
great.
welcome. I know, so excited. I got to see you guys before I got the big group hug every year. So happy to see you.
Yeah.
I remember when you first showed up with that amazing wooden version of Wilderness.
Yeah.
I think was your very first offering here.
Yes,
and
yeah,
then,
it was his game too.
Yep.
Yes.
And then a game per year since then, yes?
Yeah, in average, right?
Yeah, in average, yeah.
So this year's game you brought us is Fleet, the Pleiad Conflict.
Yes.
Yes.
Which, as you guys were telling me earlier, designer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Smooth talker.
Big.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an official
I'm the
title.
big mouth.
All right, otherwise known as the big boss.
Yeah.
The big boss, yes. 1 year older. Okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah. We came up with a great background story for the game, and it's basically the Pleiad is actually a star constellation that you can see on the night sky.
Right.
A place where the stars are really close together. And so came up this idea that in the future, when you start to colonize planets, those planets that will be closer to each other, they will have a great synergy. It will be better for them to trade with each other and have exchange between the planets. And so we came up with this idea that actually the future of the human race is going to be decided in the Pleiades, because there is the hub of power will slowly be turned to that place where the planets can work together, and Earth will be like a distant planet somewhere out in the...
We're out in the boondocks. Yeah.
So that's the basic idea, that this game is an epic scale. Is deciding who will control the planets of the Pleiades, and that's what you want to do in this game. You want to control the Pleiades, because that will make you the ruler of the human race.
Well, then I'm really glad I said the name while doing this.
Yes, it is. Because we would say that this is in the future, but there's no alien races here, but the people of Earth is spreading out to terraform different planets, and they're making it habitable and start to live there. They bring everything, and this is the start of a big civilization. So this is a small kind of pirate game, where you have your own fleet, you have your own company, going between planets and try to get control. So it's a little bit like kingdoms or companies trying to hit each other, trying to get control. So I would say it's a small kind of piracy. They go between planets, they taxate them, they try to get control.
Yeah. The game is about controlling the planets of the Pleiad star cluster. And every game you play, you randomize which planets you use. Out of 10 planets, you randomize, and then you use, of course, if you're more players playing, you have more planets to control as well. So this is a small game with 2 players, only 3 planets here. So there's 2 ways of controlling these planets. And either you outmaneuver your opposition. You're forcing them to leave. You're using your diplomatic leverage to forcing them to leave, or to outmaneuver them, or surprise them by moving between the planets. Or you blast them to pieces with your war fleets. So the game is actually a game about outmaneuvering your opponents. It has the war elements. It is a war game. You have war fleets with a lot of ships that you customize. We're coming to that. But the game is real about controlling the planets, and there's 2 ways to do that. Either you blast your opposition to pieces, or you outmaneuver your opponents.
And sometimes you even scare them away. If you're just big and mean, they will by themselves just go away to some quieter place. And that would be the perfect scenario, of course.
Yeah. You play the game through 6 phases. And when one player gets 7 victory points, the game is over and he wins the game. And you score a victory point every time you stand alone in a system, unopposed by other players. And that could either be because his poor little fleet here has been blown to pieces, or simply because I used my diplomatic leverage to either forcing him to retreat, or I surprised him by moving over to another planet where he had no presence, and thereby scoring my victory points. So you start with the first phase, which is a building phase.
Yeah. And in the building phase, you get to build your fleets, and each fleet from the market. Each fleet has a cost. So up here you have the cost, and it's kind of easy to see. This is a kind of expensive fleet. After you pay the cost, you get a flagship. And the flagship has a value of attack and a value of health. And of course he has a lot of slots to make room for small ships. There you can have a battleship, you can have fighters or interceptors, and there's 8 different kind of ships. So you customize your ships, your fleets, you customize them to be the way you want it. Do you want to be a defensive fleet, build to take a hit and then leave? Or do you want it to blast the opposition to pieces? Or do you want it just to be a fleet gaining resources for later in the game? So there are many ways to customize your fleets. And you have both the cards, you have the fleets, and you have the ships. 8 different ships, a lot of different cards, and 20 different fleets. So there's a lot of combinations to build.
So starting with buying fleets and customizing them. The next step is deploying them, of course. In this example here, I have 2 fleets where I didn't put any small ships on them, but never mind. So we take turns doing that too. So I put my Gomorrah here on Eden. I want to control that. And now my opponent...
Yeah, but I know that my Great Gorgons is far stronger than Gomorrah. So of course I'll put my... Either I can take an empty planet, but in this case I think that he will run before my eyes. So I put it here.
Since all the attack information is public.
Yes.
Right
Oh,
here
yes.
is the card,
Oh, yes.
so you would know you're more strong.
What is not public is the war cards. You may have cards that you may also use in the conflict. Otherwise, you see the stats openly, you see what kind of ships they have, configuration, and you can measure their strength. And then it's also a matter of skill to perform the battle in a good way. I go to Tartarus, I want to control that one. So after we deployed our fleets, it comes to diplomacy.
Yes. And in diplomacy I take diplomatic actions. And it goes around by order, and I have 6 diplomatic points, which means I can do a lot of different things, but in this case, in Eden it says, if you're on Eden, you can spend 1 diplomatic point to get 3 mega credits. That is money for later in the game. And it sounds good. So I pay 1 to get 3 extra. I wouldn't be in the top of the score right in the middle of the game.
I want to make you rich.
Yeah, but I get 3 extra
Be
mega credits.
grateful.
So for the next turn, I would have more money to buy new ships. If they are destroyed and if something happens, I need more money, of course. What about you?
Yes. On my diplomatic round, I'm going actually to pay 2 diplomatic points to retreat my Gomorrah. I don't want this fight.
Run away!
Yeah, and this is a very quiet, turn, because in the end there will be no battles. Not here, not here. So
Yes.
this is a.
So
This
when
goes
the
fast.
dust clears, there will be no battle phase because no opposition, and he's scoring 1 victory points for controlling Eden, and I will score 1 victory point for controlling Tartarus. And then we draw back our fleets. We fill up we take the rewards from the planets,
Okay.
as well as a generic or a basic reward that all players get between the everybody gets a little more money
we get
and more diplomatic
points. We get these, and we get
money.
a bit more energy for the fleets
and new cards.
and new cards.
And
battle cards.
so we start over with a new round. So once more, we build, we deploy our fleets, which are now stronger. We do diplomatic actions again, and then we battle again where we face opposition. And as you progress, as you develop, you will have bigger fleets, and they will be tighter and tighter to find empty space on the board, and it will come to conflict and warfare, which is the other really fun part of the game.
Yeah, so we realized that in the start of the game it would be less battles, and it will be like avoiding battle, and that's a good part of the game. Try to avoid the battles, but sooner or later everyone gets into the middle of conflict because you can't avoid battle forever, and that's where it comes. So let's show them.
Why this game is fun is because you have a lot of player choice in every phase of this game. It's really fun and important how you build your fleets. And actually, the number of fleets you choose to buy, because you can own many fleets and try to control many planets. But then you will not have enough resources to really build them really strong. So that's a lot of choice. A lot of choice of where to put my fleet. What kind of rewards do I want to get? And who is standing on these different? Who do I want to fight? Who do I want to face? And what kind of different
diplomatic actions can be
I
done
do?
at the...
And also, every time you play this game, you randomize the board. So you have different planets and different combination of planets, and that can also make a big influence on what strategy you should use to be successful. So you have deployment, and then you have diplomacy, and then you have the war phase, where you actually all the ships that you have in your fleets is firing individually against an enemy. And you can also play like battle cards here, which makes us a lot of choices here too. Should I go for his flagship to try to eliminate the fleet, or should I try to take out his small ships and weaken it, or take away his edge, so on?
Yes.
A lot of choices, and that's why I think this game is fun.
Yeah. Are we interested in showing how a battle can work?
Yeah, or at least showing a few of these battle cards, how that might augment.
Yes. For example, besides that all these small ships have an attack value, and some of them have special ability that you use the Energy's fleets to use. But there's
I'm actually going to move this planet here so we can kind of move your fleet up front and center here.
But so beside the different stats that these different ships have, they also have some special abilities that you use the fleet's energy to use these special abilities. All of this is, of course, stated in the rules and on the sleeves. Yes. But you also can play using your energy of the fleets to play different action cards. For example, a torpedo costing 3 energy from the fleet to do 3 damages on the opponent. Yes. So you have a lot of choices what target you want to you choose for your ships, but you can also play attack cards to surprise your opponent in the middle of battle, like tactical superiority, actually making your die roll count higher, for example.
And when you battle, it's interesting that if you have 2 fleets battling each other, look at them. You can see that there are 2 different things that it's important to know about the game. Is that each ship is firing in once, which means in this case he has no support ships. He has just 1 big shot with 10 dice. This means attack 10. And if he doesn't, he fires once. If it does no damage, there is no damage. And then he fires, and if he can't beat the fleet, both will go out of the battle and no one is destroyed. So in some cases, they will just beat each other small. And sometimes when you have many ships, there will be brutal battles where the whole fleet just is destroyed, obliterated.
But you could end up in a tie where nobody, both standing on the planet, no one gets the victory point, but they're both just getting the resource from the planets, and then they go back home. One other feature of the battle phase is that all these ships have different initiative phases, the green numbers, telling us in which order they will fire.
In this case, this is a fast fleet. I realize it's just 5 power and just 5 health. This is 10 power and 10 health. But it doesn't matter, because these ships are firing in the phase 2. Along with him,
phase of the battle. That is before he gets to fire,
so
which means that he has the chance to attack before he attacks back. So you go through the battle phases, or 4 battle stages, depending on what you have on your fleets, and then you play your cards, you fire your ships one at a time, and when all the ships are fired, the battle is over. And if you sink the flagship, the whole fleet is destroyed.
And the other ships, if they are still alive, they will go home to your base, and you can put them out in the next fleet that you buy.
Makes sense.
Yes. So there's no player elimination in this game. It's rather that you can have a fleet destroyed, just buy a new one. it's okay.
But what we try to do with this game is we want to make the war and the battle, we want to make that interesting. But not too, we don't want it to completely take the game over. Because in the end, the game is not about doing battle just to do battle. It's about controlling the planets. That's the goal. And either you do that by outmaneuvering your opponents, or you do that by blasting them to pieces. So we want to make the battle elements interesting and intriguing, but the game is not all about fighting.
How long do you think a full game would take?
For experienced players, it would be like 1.5, 2 hours. But I mean, for beginners, it's longer, maybe 2.5. 3.
Yeah, so it's yeah.
And it plays up to 4 players, if I remember correctly, from the side of the box here.
Yeah.
Is there any particular bonus for people who might be getting this here at Essen, or?
Yes, the normal price would be 45 euro. We calculated, but for Essen, we lowered the price to 35 euros. So we have a bonus already.
Yeah, I want to have a good price here in Essen.
Yeah.
Which now all the people watching are like, oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I thank you both for stopping by. I always enjoy these yearly little chats we have.
yes.
And so you guys should all go and check out Fleet the Pleiades Conflict.
Yes, you should.